Hello and welcome to the 5 Hotel Indianapolis Army Recruiting Battalion ASVAB-CEP Post-Test Interpretation Training. The purpose of this training will be to instruct an individual on how to conduct a post-test interpretation. This will be a mock PTI. Before we begin, let's conduct a full disclosure moment. The following video will present a mock post-test interpretation with evaluation, with the intent to show potential interpreters, such as the Indianapolis Army recruiters, the process for presenting an ASVAB post-test interpretation and the evaluation process associated with it. It is designed to provide Indianapolis Army recruiters or similar who is currently in the ASVAB-CEP PTI training to be familiar with 1. How to conduct an ASVAB post-test interpretation from start to finish. 2. The process by which a recruiter is evaluated. 3. The key points or central themes of the ASVAB-CEP PTI program. Areas that they want you to reinforce for conducting the post-test interpretations. Note: this video is not to be used for any purposes other than helping recruiters, or similar, understand how to successfully conduct a post-test interpretation training. This is a 5 Hotel Indianapolis Army Recruiting Battalion level training aid and not the product of the official ASVAB program team. ASVAB-CEP post-test interpretation session, or the metric. In order to be considered proficient, personnel must receive a score of average, 3, or higher on all required components, as well as a score of average, 3, or higher on 3 complementary components. Required components have been marked with an asterisk and are shaded in purple. Complementary components have been shaded in teal. A 5 is excellent, 4 above average, 3 is considered average, 2 below average, and 1 needs improvement. The areas to be covered are: introduction has 2 areas to be evaluated. ASVAB score interpreting has 6 areas. FYI, find your interest has 3 areas. The OccuFind orientation has 10 areas. The planning tools have 2 areas. Careers in the Military website has 4 areas, and social media has 1 area to be evaluated. For the areas of evaluation, if it has an asterisk next to it, it is required to be covered. If it doesn't have an asterisk next to it, it's only complementary. This is the ASVAB-CEP post-test interpretation session PTI proficiency evaluation metric. This is the form that will be used to evaluate you to judge how well you have done in conducting your PTI session so that you can become certified as a presenter. So, for example, this is where you'll be evaluated as you begin to start with the introduction, establishing expectations, as I spoke earlier about 5 being excellent, above average, 3 being average, 2 being below average, and 1 needing improvement, and how the expectations are set for that particular section. The website login, standards for that. Under ASVAB score interpreting, percentile versus percent scores, career exploration scores, AFQT military entrance scores, military line scores, ASVAB subtest scores, additional scores, the difference between the dark blue and the lighter green. The blues are required to be accomplished. The lighter greens are optional for you to be able to conduct during the actual ASVAB interpretation. For the purposes of this evaluation, you will be graded on all sections to show that you can demonstrate proficiency in each one of the areas. Under the FYI section, FYI Introduction and Administration, the standards for that, the RISIC model, standards for that, combined and gender-specific scores, information and standards for that, the OccuFind orientation, searching the OccuFind, standards, favorites feature, standards, career detail pages, the standards, skill importance ratings, how to get there, other search filters. Again, drifting into notes features, how to get there for college information, how to get there for credentials, how to get there for military info. Under the planning tools, under My Portfolio, additional planning tools, the Careers in the Military website, the introduction to the Careers in the Military website, the military overview, the options associated with it, the career detail page, personalized information, and then ultimately social media and the use of social media. Once you have completed conducting your presentation in all these areas, the evaluator will then roll up your information with any additional comments, identifying the instructor strengths, areas where improvement can be made, then overall final evaluation, giving you your final grade, identifying areas in overall performance, and then at the very bottom they will sign this, and then this is the form that you will actually upload to the ASVAB program website, where after a few days of evaluation of it, then they will issue you your PTI access code for you to conduct your own individual post-test interpretations. For the purposes of this video training, we will only highlight the level 5, excellent, proficiency to ensure the maximum effort is portrayed in the PTI session. For example, for this one, introduction, establishing expectations. 5, or excellent, is whenever the presenter explained directions, procedures, and intended activity outcomes. They ask the student about their post-high school plans to guide the PTI session. They inform students that military service is not required by participating in the ASVAB-CEP, and then ultimately check for understanding. Note, in most cases, the reason for a 3 rating is that the presenter briefly covered the main topics, and the common reason for a 1 rating is that the main topics were not covered sufficiently. To accommodate the mock training process, the PTI standards will be reformatted over to the left-hand side of the page to allow for the video to play in conjunction with the showing of the standards. As we begin the mock post-test interpretation, this is the standard that you'll be evaluated by. Again, excellent, above average, average, below average, or needs improvement. Descriptions are given for the performance that is excellent. Average needs improvement for each of them. Scores of above average and below average are given for execution that shows some, but not all, of the described practices.
Hello, my name is Dave Ressler. I'm an Army Education Services Specialist assigned to the Indianapolis Army Recruiting Battalion. Today I'm going to take you through the ASVAB Career Exploration Program. If you follow along closely, I'll provide you insight and understanding of the web page and how to understand your ASVAB results. At the end of this interpretation, you will have a better understanding of your aptitudes and career fields you might find of interest. Before we begin, take a moment to think about your post-high school plans. Allow those ideas of what you want to do right after high school guide you through some of the careers that may be available to you. This program is designed to take your aptitudes and link them to career fields you may have interest in. Just to inform you, military service is not required for participating in the ASVAB-CEP. A lot of students have a misunderstanding about the ASVAB. Yes, there are various services who do use the ASVAB to help applicants determine career paths, but the ASVAB results we will cover today will deal predominantly with civilian career paths. Does everyone understand what we're about to cover before we begin? Good, glad to hear it. So let's get started.
All right, let's start off with watching a video on understanding the ASVAB-CEP. So we're going to click on Resources, and we're going to jump down here to the bottom of the page where our videos are at, and we're going to watch a video called Understanding Your ASVAB Results Tutorial. Click on that and we'll launch the video.
Thank you for participating in the ASVAB Career Exploration Program. Now that you have your ASVAB-CEP test scores, let's walk through the different areas on the ASVAB Summary Results Sheet to help you understand what all of the numbers mean. If you use the access code on the bottom right corner of your results sheet to log into asvabprogram.com, you can also view your score report online. On the left side of the sheet, you'll see 3 different types of scores: Career Exploration Scores, Individual ASVAB Test Scores, and a Military Entrance Score, or AFQT. We'll look at the Career Exploration Scores first. Career Exploration Scores give you an estimate of your verbal, math, and science and technical skills as compared to other students in the same grade. You'll use these scores to explore careers using the OccuFind. Your test scores are displayed as percentile scores and standard scores. You're probably wondering, what's the difference between these two? Percentile scores are not the same as percent correct. Percentile scores show you how well you did in relation to others in your same grade and others of the same or opposite gender. Let's say this test sheet shows a female's test scores. In science and technical skills, she scored as well as or better than 66% of all 11th grade females who took this test. She scored as well as or better than 43% of 11th grade males who took this test. Finally, she scored as well as or better than 54% of all 11th graders who took this test. Now let's look at the standard scores. Standard scores can be confusing. Standard scores are not like what you're used to seeing on a test, where the scores range from 1 to 100. On the ASVAB test, the majority of students score between 30 and 70. This means that a standard score of 50 is an average score, and a score of 60 would be an above average score. You'll notice gray score bands around each score. These bands show the range that scores would probably fall in if you took the test again. In addition to your career exploration scores, you'll also see ASVAB subtest scores. If you've taken the CEP ICAT, your results sheet will look a little different and include an additional subtest score. However, the same explanation applies. Each of the career exploration scores is made up of a combination of some of the individual ASVAB subtests. The verbal skills score includes word knowledge and paragraph comprehension. The math skills score includes arithmetic reasoning and math knowledge. The science and technical skills score includes general science, electronics information, and mechanical comprehension. If you're viewing your test scores online, all of the same information is available. It just looks a little different. Your career exploration scores are represented using books to visually signify strength. The books are always available on your dashboard and on your sidebar. And See ASVAB Results always gives you access to your full score report. The final score on this page is your Military Entrance Score, or AFQT. The AFQT score is what the military will use to determine enlistment eligibility. However, each service and each military job has different requirements, so qualifying AFQT scores can fluctuate. Beyond the AFQT, each job in the military is associated with a service composite category. Your composite scores are computed at Careers in the Military, powered by ASVAB-CEP. If you are interested in exploring the military, it is best to discuss these scores with a recruiter. Your ASVAB test scores give you estimates of your abilities at this point in time. They are useful in helping you see your current strengths, and also in guiding your career exploration. If you'd like to improve a certain CEP score, consider which ASVAB subtests make up each score, and focus your studies on those topics.
Before we begin with the actual website, does everyone have a copy of their ASR, ASVAB Summary Results? It should look like this. If you do not have one, your school counselor or test person would have received a copy. If you look at your ASR, you'll find an access code. If you have computer access, let's set up your account. Go to the ASVABprogram.com. If you do not have access to a computer, then just follow along.
So let's talk about your ASVAB summary results. On the left-hand side of the sheet, you'll see 3 scores: career exploration scores, ASVAB test scores, and military entrance score, also known as the AFQT, Armed Forces Qualification Test scores. Let's look at the career exploration scores first. They will give you an idea of your verbal, math, and science and technical skills. On your ASR, you will see your percentile scores and how you compare to other students. Let's talk percentile scores. In the 3 highlighted columns, the columns in gray, to the left of the graph, percentile scores show how you compare to other students, males, females, and all students in your grade. For example, a percentile score of 95 for a 10th grade female would mean she scored better than 95 out of every 100 females in the 10th grade. More information on percentile scores is contained down here in this area where it talks about explanation for your ASVAB percentile scores.
Let's talk about ASVAB standard scores. Your ASVAB results are reported as standard scores in the above graph. Your score on each test is identified by the X in the corresponding bar graph. You should view these scores as an estimate of your true skill in that area. If you took the test again, you'd probably receive a score somewhere within that zone. Many things, such as how you were feeling during the test, contribute to the difference. The difference is shown in the gray score bands in the graph of your results. Your standard scores are based upon the ASVAB test and composites based upon your grade level. The score bands provide a way to identify some of your strength. The guide will help you identify occupations in line with your interests and skills. As you explore potentially satisfying careers, you will develop your career exploration and planning skills. Meanwhile, your ASVAB results can help you identify and making well-informed choices about future high school courses. Just know there's a difference between percentile scores and percent correct scores. So let's go to the main ASVABprogram.com webpage. At this time, using your ASR, let's log in with our access code. This will allow you to log into the website and receive all the benefits associated with it. It's important to note that you should register your email address when setting up your account. This will help you to recover passwords or access codes in the future. So this is how your ASR results will populate within the ASVAB program itself in relation to the information that was on your ASR worksheet. Let's look at the verbal, math, and science and technical scores and how they're derived. And based upon how well you did in certain areas, ASVAB uses books to represent which areas you have strengths within. So the more books you have in your stack, the more it signifies the strengths that you have within that skill. And for the purposes of this demo, my scores are highest in verbal, average in math, and lowest in science and technical. So as you review your own scores, this will help you explore career fields. Your career results will now populate in part based upon how well you did in these areas. This reflects your aptitude for those career fields. Understand that just like your likes and dislikes can change over time, so might your aptitudes towards different things change. If you take the ASVAB again in the future, you may find new results because your aptitude has changed based upon your experience or other life pursuits. These scores are a snapshot of current skills and can be improved over time. If I want to see my ASVAB results directly, I can click on See ASVAB Results link, and this will take me to a graphic representation of how this information looks on the actual website itself. This will show my results in career exploration scores, ASVAB test scores, and then the military AFQT, or the Armed Forces Qualification Test scores. As we pan down through this area, here are my standard scores and how I represented in verbal, math, and science, as well against female, male, and all categories. For my ASVAB test scores, my verbal, math, science, and technical skills, and how they related in general science as a standard score versus percentile scores, which we talked about earlier, for female, male, and all categories. And then ultimately at the very bottom of the page, we'll find the actual military entrance score or the Armed Forces Qualification Test score. And we'll talk about these in greater detail. So if you're considering potentially exploring military career opportunities, then you're going to be interested in your military entrance score or the Armed Forces Qualification Test score. For the purposes of this demo, my AFQT score is an 80. But more importantly, what I'm going to be interested in exploring are my military line scores. So if you're going to talk to a military recruiter, this is something that they're going to be interested in as well. You're going to click on the Learn More link, and that's going to take you over to the Careers in the Military webpage. This will provide the line scores for all the various different branches and how well you scored. So for the purposes of this demo, these are the Army line scores associated with this particular overall ASVAB scoring. This will allow you to see your line scores and the line scores of how well you did within specific areas of the test, whether it was general technical, whether it was electronic repair, whether it was operations and food, whether it was skilled technical. These are the scores that are associated with that, and these scores correlate to potential career fields that you may be exploring for the U.S. Army. And this applies to all the different branches.
All right, let's talk a little bit about my ASVAB strengths, verbal, math, and science and technical, and how they relate to my ASVAB subset scores. So I'm going to click on See ASVAB Results, and that's going to take me to this page, which is going to be my ASVAB Summary Results area. And down here, I can see my career exploration scores, which I saw earlier on my ASR, for my verbal skills, math skills, and science and technical skills. And if you notice, each one of those areas is color-coded. So my verbal skills are color-coded in teal, math skills are color-coded in brown, and science and technical skills are color-coded in purple or dark blue. And if I pan down even further and I look at my ASVAB test scores for each one of the individual areas associated with the ASVAB score, like for example, general sciences, that's going to be science and technical skills. Arithmetic reasoning, those are my math skills. Word knowledge, paragraph comprehension, those are my verbal skills, and so on, all the way down into mechanical comprehension. So each one of these areas is color-coded to reflect accurately how my scores are aligned with the different areas associated with the career exploration scores. So take time to review your own scores so that you have familiarization with it. And also note that your online score report, that the subtests are color-coded to match the skill set in each of your career exploration scores so that you can identify which areas to improve over time.
Just remember, as we talk about standard scores, they're often confused with letter grades. They may indicate relative performance against the middle mark. The standard scores are not what like you're used to seeing, where scores range from 0 to 100, with the majority of students scoring between 70 and 100. With ASVAB scores, the majority of the scores fall between 30 and 70, which means the average score of 50 means the standard score of 50 is an average score, but the 60 would be a higher or above average. Percentile scores indicate how well you did in relation to others in the same grade. For each test and composite score, you receive the same grade, same sex, same grade, opposite sex, and same grade combined sex percentile score. And the score bands explain where their grades might fall if they retake the test. Let's explore that really quickly. For example, under paragraph comprehension, scored a 66. My score band, if I were to retake the test, I'd probably likely fall somewhere within this particular area for testing.
Okay, now we're back at the My ASVAB-CEP main screen. From here, let's watch a video on taking the FYI, or Find Your Interest. We're going to click on Resources, drop down here to the bottom, and we're going to watch the video taking the FYI tutorial.
The FYI is designed to help you find your interests. Knowing your work-related interests will help you find a career field that you like and increase your chances of job satisfaction. This tutorial demonstrates how to take the FYI and explains what the survey results mean. First, log into the My ASVAB-CEP dashboard. If you already completed the paper-based FYI, you can select Enter your FYI scores manually under Step 1 to enter your raw scores. To access the FYI online, select Take the FYI. All of FYI items are multiple choice and give you 3 answers to choose from. Choose L if you would like to do the activity. Choose D if you would not like to do the activity. Choose I if you don't care one way or the other. Remember, there are no right or wrong answers. Just enter a response based on your likes and dislikes, not how well you think you will do on an activity. There are 90 items in all. You must answer each question. When you're ready to begin, select the Get Started button. Notice that the definition of the answer options is always displayed on the screen. After you've responded to all items, make sure you select your gender before you select Next. This is important when it comes to calculating your interest codes at the end. When you have answered all questions, select the Next button to review your results. You will see two sets of scores. One set is your combined score. This score shows your top interest codes as compared to all other students who have taken the FYI. The second set shows your top interest codes as compared to other students of the same gender. You may notice that some of your interest codes are different in these two sets of scores. And you might be wondering, why do I have gender-specific scores at all? Here's why. Growing up, you might have developed different skills because of experiences related to your gender. For instance, you might have gotten certain messages from society and the media about what careers are appropriate for you. These factors may have influenced your interests. For example, a male student may have a relatively low social score when compared with all students, but a much higher social score when compared with other males. Likewise, a female student may have a relatively low realistic score when compared with all students, but a much higher realistic score when compared with other females. Your gender-specific scores may offer you some new ideas about your interests. If this is the case, you may want to explore occupations that include these interest areas. To get a better understanding of what each interest code means, read the descriptions of each interest area on the bottom of the screen. Keep in mind that your interest codes indicate your interest areas at this time in your life. As you gain more experience and exposure to new activities, your top interest codes may change. Next, choose the interest code set you think fits you best and select the appropriate list. You can return to this page and select the other set of interest codes at any time. After you have completed the FYI, you can retake the FYI one more time or select Start Exploring to begin exploring careers in the OccuFind. After you take the FYI, your chosen interest codes will always display when you log into My ASVAB-CEP in the future. You can take the FYI a total of 2 times. Just select Retake the FYI under Step 1. Now you are ready to take the FYI.
So now that we know more about the FYI, let's actually complete the FYI process. If you already have your results done, then you want to go directly to Return to FYI Results. If you haven't taken the test before, then you're going to click on Retake the FYI. Here's a sample of what that might look like. With interest inventories, there are no right or wrong answers. For each of the activities in the FYI, ask yourself if you would like it or dislike the activity. Don't be concerned with how well you would do in the activity or whether you have any experience in doing it. Go with the first answer that comes to mind. If you don't have a strong preference either way, or you're unsure, then you would select indifferent. For example, if you were to be asked if you'd like to attend an art class, like it, dislike it, or indifferent to it. Help children with their school homework, like it, dislike it, indifferent to it. And you're going to select all of those as you go through the process. There's a total of 90 questions that you're going to be asked. This will help formulate exactly what your preferences are and what you're inclined or interested in doing. At the end of that, you're going to have the opportunity to select gender. You have 2 choices. You can select male or female. You can complete the test, the inventory twice, to actually get a perspective on your preferences under male, preferences under female. And then you click Next, and that will populate your information. So again, let's explore what the FYI results actually mean. This has to do with what's called the RISEC model. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I scored highest in conventional, second highest in realistic, third in investigative, and so on. As we go through this process and look at our scores and how we actually scored in the RISEC model, the actual codes or information for each of those areas can be further defined of what our level of interest areas are. For example, I scored highest in conventional. Conventional is defined as activities require attention to accuracy and detail. If I wanted to find out more about that, I'd click on this link here, and here's some more information that would explain conventional to me. I scored second highest in realistic. That means that I'm interested in activities that involve practical, hands-on problems and solutions. If I wanted to find out more about that, I'd click on this link, and here's the information on realistic. So as I explore those, here are my combined scores, your scores compared with those of other high school students that have taken the FYI. And then here's my gender-specific scores, your scores compared with those of others in your specific gender. This information allows the ASVAB program to help identify areas that might be of interest to you. To provide further detail, the combined scores, your scores compared to those other high school students who have taken the FYI, as laid out here, and gender-specific scores, your scores compared to with others within your specific gender. That information will populate over here under your My Top Interests. So anywhere that you go within the ASVAB program, you can always reflect on your ASVAB-CEP strengths, verbal, math, science and technical, as well as your top interests, conventional, realistic, or investigative, based upon your selections and choices.
Okay, now we're back here at the My ASVAB-CEP main page. Let's click on resources. We're going to watch another video that is called the Exploring the OccuFind tutorial. Click on video and watch play.
The OccuFind organizes data about hundreds of occupations in an easy-to-navigate format accessible from any device. You have to log into ASVABprogram.com to search, sort, and filter careers based on your ASVAB career exploration scores and FYI results using the OccuFind. When you log in, you'll be on the My ASVAB-CEP dashboard. Here you can access your scores, take the FYI, search careers in the OccuFind, and start planning. For now, we'll focus on exploring the OccuFind. This powerful career exploration tool does not choose an occupation for you. You have the option to browse these featured categories or view the complete list alphabetically. But if you really want to make the most of your time, explore the OccuFind in the context of your strengths and interests. After you've taken the FYI, you have 3 interest codes that relate to potentially satisfying careers. Enter your top 2 interests to see a list that most closely fits your unique interest profile. You can select up to 2 interest codes at any time. To go even further, sort by interest code and skill strength. Focus your search on the skill area in which you scored the highest, regardless of the actual number, or reverse engineer your search and look for jobs where your weakest skill is least important. For example, you can see how important math skills are for different social occupations by choosing both social and math. Then toggle between the tabs to view the list that best suits your desired level of importance. If your strength is math, look at the most important tab. If math is your weakness, look at the least important tab. Each OccuFind page provides you with detailed information. You'll find a job description and daily tasks describing what an individual in that occupation actually does. You'll see the top 3 interest codes with the primary code always shown on top. The OccuFind includes information about the relative importance of verbal, math, and science/technical skills for each occupation. Refer to your career exploration scores to consider your own strengths in these areas as you review the skill importance ratings. If you've gotten this far and you're still interested in learning more, explore how to get there. Here you'll see the level of education that people in the job think you'd need to be hired. Select College Info to search institutions offering degrees related to the career you're exploring. Select the name of the institution to reveal more details and add it to your favorites. Not sure about college? Check out the Credentials section. Here you can find training, certification, licensing, and apprenticeship opportunities by state. If there is a military service offering the occupation, you'll see the branch icon. Choose Military Info to reveal related military opportunities. From this screen, select a job title to explore more details about that career in the military. Curious about Employment Outlook? You can view starting salary and salary averages at the national and state level. Hover over the state to see the average state salary. If you're exploring the OccuFind on a mobile device, tap the state to view the salary average. Select more details to learn about the employment outlook. On each page, you'll also find a list of related careers, the corresponding career cluster, and links to additional career resources. At any time during your exploration, you can share the jobs you love on social media. You can also make notes about an occupation and institutions, or add them to your favorites. Select View Favorites in the purple header from any page to see the list you've saved. Once added, you can compare your favorites side by side to help you determine the one that's best for you. Now go find your dream job.
So let's explore more about the OccuFind. As always, I would click on my ASVAB-CEP, and it takes me back to this page. I come down to the To section under Explore, Search Careers with the OccuFind, and this will take me to my OccuFind search. Now remember, the OccuFind catalog, approximately 1,000 career options that are available to you. To find your dream job, select from these options. You can search by your interest codes, sort by your ASVAB strengths, and then add additional filters. For your search codes, or for your interest codes, you can select up to 2. Again, my top interests for the purposes of this demo were conventional, realistic, and investigative. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to select conventional and realistic as the 2 most important areas to me. For my ASVAB strengths, I was highest in verbal, so I will select that as a choice because this will help direct the career fields that are out there to align with my interest, values, and strengths. And then for work values, I can add additional areas like things that might be important to me, like achievement, independence, support, working conditions. So I'm going to select achievement because I think that that's important to me. And then for categories, under special, I can select those career fields that might have a great outlook. STEM careers, if I'm interested in science or math, or hot military careers, if there's something that's really important, or if I'm looking for a career specifically in the military, I can click on those specific areas as well. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to look for career fields that have a bright outlook. And then any keywords. And then I would click Explore. Now what the OccuFind has provided me is realistic and conventional occupations based upon my selections. Again, my ASVAB strengths are here, my top interests are here. What I have selected as part of my search and part of my sort process and my filters are all reflected over here. And these are career fields that, based upon my selections and my ASVAB scores, I might find some level of interest. And they are broken down by several different tabs. One of them are most important. Based upon how well I scored, these might be the strongest career fields that I might explore. Moderately important, based upon a law of averages of some career fields that I might find interesting. And least important. These are some that may not be important to me at all based upon my selection and choices. So if I come back to most important, and I just select one at random, for the example of, let's just go with environmental scientists and specialists, including health. If I click on that, it provides specific information on environmental scientists and specialists, including health. And this will allow me to do a deep dive into understanding each one of those specific areas. So once I've completed looking at multiple career fields and I want to explore all the favorites that I've saved, I can click over here on my View Favorites. And this is going to populate all the different favorites that I've currently saved with my most recent one, environmental scientists and specialists, including health. This allows me to come back and do a deeper dive into that specific category. As you explore a specific career field, you can find out more information that's going to be provided as part of the occupying process. The information that's there, other job titles that the career might be listed by, descriptions specifically, what type of interest codes that an individual who has this type of career field might be inclined to have, the specific job skills importance that are out there. Obviously, this career field requires high verbal, high math, and high science and technical. If there's other work values that are specifically associated with this field, what they do, level of detail that's associated with it, and then additional information at the bottom, how to get there, what's the educational process. So for individuals within this career field, approximately 1% of them just have a high school diploma. 1% of them have some college. The majority of these people in this career field have a bachelor's degree or master's degree or some additional information. And you can explore colleges and things like that that provide additional information for degree pursuits. What are the credentials that are associated with this specific field? What are the certifications, licensing, or apprenticeships that are out there? Also, do any of the branches of the military offer this career field as well? And environmental scientists and specialists are offered by the United States Army, Marine Corps, Navy, and so on. Employment statistics is provided as well. So there's a lot of information and detail that's provided just on these career fields that you can do even a deeper dive. But before we move on into a more of a deep exploration, if I want to save this and come back and explore it later, I can add that to my favorites. What that means is now environmental scientists and specialists, including health, is now saved in my favorites. So whenever I come back and explore my favorites later, this is going to be one of those career fields that is going to be retained for further exploration by me. So let's further explore one of these occupational fields. For example, let's look at medical assistants. Again, medical assistants is the title. Additional titles, which they're called by, certified medical assistants, doctor's assistants, etc. A description, the job interest codes that are normally associated with this particular career field. Again, for the purposes of this demo, I scored relatively high in conventional and realistic. These are my interest codes. Conventionally, realistic are located here. My ASVAB strengths, high in verbal, average in math, low in sciences. For this particular career field, the requirements are high in verbal, average in math, again higher in science and technical. And as I explore that further, the work values that are associated with it, specifically what they do if I want to find out more detailed information, some specifics on education. The majority of the people in this career field have a post-secondary certificate of some way, shape, or form. Some have college. If I want to look at a college, I can explore that further. What the credentialing requirements are associated with it, the military branches that might have this particular occupation, and then what the national average, the national average for salaries are for this particular career field. Again, more information. And if I want to retain that and find out more about it later, I can add that to my favorites. It's now added to my favorites, and I can come over here and view my favorites, and there medical assistance is located. So as I'm exploring medical assistance and I want to look at how to get there, again, we talked about the majority of the individuals in this career field have a post-secondary certificate of some way, shape, or form. I can find out more about the colleges that are associated with it. So let's explore some of those colleges. And again, I'm going to select the state of Indiana. And this will now tell me the local colleges that are across the state and what it is they offer. For the purposes of this, let's look at the Indiana University Southeast, located in New Albany, Indiana. This provides information on it, the different types of degrees and certifications that they offer, general information about the school, how to get into the school. Additionally to the program, the university has a Army ROTC and a Air Force ROTC program. And if I ever want to find out more information about the school, this will take me directly to the school's webpage. Now let's say I want to add a little bit more perspective to my occupations that I'm looking at. I can go back and look at my interest codes and see what I've selected. And remember, here's my top interest codes here. Maybe I want to go back and drop off of realistic. Maybe I want to add in investigative because I might find that a little bit more interesting to me. And maybe I want to see where my math skills might come into play. So I might remove verbal, then add math in. And then any specific values, work values that I want to add in. I'm not going to add any at this time, but here's my choices. And then categories. Maybe I've heard rumors that maybe STEM is an upcoming market to explore further. And so that will allow me to look at additional areas that I might actually have some level of success in if I want to explore it further based upon all my selections and choices. So let's say I want to find out a little bit more about civil engineers, who they are and what they do, since that's a STEM-related field. Again, here are the common interest codes that are associated with it, level of job skill importance. Here's my information over here so I can relate to it. Here are the work values that are associated with that, what they do in the process and how to get there. If I want to look at colleges and stuff like that, I want to explore credentials that are associated with it, and then the different branches of the military that might have something along the lines of a civil engineer associated with them. And if I want to add them to my favorites, I can do that, and that's going to populate it over to my favorites section. It's where civil engineers are now something I can always go back and take a second look at if I need to. So since we're talking about the My Favorites section, let's also talk about notes and what they mean for us. So if we want to look at a favorite occupation, which I had saved, and let's just say it's medical assistance, open up that category. Let's say I wanted to capture some notes on that, like possibly what schools are out there in my price range, what courses will I have to take, do I know anyone in this field. So I save that. Then as I come back to viewing my favorites and I look at medical assistance, if I come across and I click on my notes, it captured all that information. What schools are out there in my price range, what courses will I have to take, do I know anyone in this field. So it just allows you to save information associated with that specific occupation. So notes allows you to do this, and there's a couple different ways that you can get to the notes. You can get to the notes under the My Favorites. You can get to the notes whenever you're specifically looking at a occupational career field, right up here in the notes. And then if you no longer want to keep that as a favorite, you can actually remove that from My Favorites just by clicking on the heart. So just as a recap, if you're looking to find the notes, you can find the notes specifically on the page itself, or even down here directly under the View Favorites, View Notes. You can see notes that are specific out there under different areas that where you have saved comments. Like, for example, medical assistance. Here's some notes that I've saved earlier on automotive engineers. I want to know if these schools are close to me that cost less than so many dollars. So just a way for you to save specific notes on either occupations or on colleges. So let's take just a second to do a little bit of a deeper dive into exploring education, more specifically colleges associated with occupational fields that may be available to us. So let's just say that we're going to explore chemical technicians, for example. So we're looking at chemical technicians again. Here's the information on it as far as the additional jobs are called: description, job interest codes, job skill importance, work values, what they do, and then the how to get there. So approximately 26% of the career field associated with chemical technicians have bachelor's degrees. So let's do a deep dive into colleges that are out there. Let's look at college info. This shows you the educational details for an occupation, including programs of study associated with the career and information about the specific colleges. This provides a list of schools that can be sorted by states or by additional filters alphabetically and things like that. So again, we're going to look at Indiana. since that's currently where I'm at. Ball State, which a university I'm very familiar with. Again, Ball State University, general information, tuition, different types of degrees and things like that they offer. I can click on that. I can find out they have associate's degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's, doctoral, certification programs. I can do a deeper dive into that, find out more general information on colleges, approximately the number of students and applicants that they have each year, who they admit, the different major degrees, degrees or majors that are offered by the school that I can find out more information on if I want to. For example, if I want to click on education, those are all the different sub areas associated with education at Ball State. So quite an elaborate program that they have there. And I can close up that information just by clicking here. And again, those are the different degrees and majors offered by the university. They do have a available ROTC program, and if I always want to find out more about the university, I can click on this and it'll take me directly to the college and university programs. If I want to save it to my favorite, I just click on that, and that's going to save it to my favorites. And then if I want to add notes, find out more on Ball State University, save that, and again, my information is saved and collected for Ball State University. It's something that I can do a deeper dive on later if I want to. So let's say I wanted to find out a little bit more about chemical technicians, but I wasn't going to go to college. Again, all the same information still applies, and I'm going to come down here. I'm going to go past how to get there, past education, college info, which we've already explored, Ball State University. I'm going to look at credentials, and I'm going to see what kind of credentials are out there for chemical technicians. I might click on certifications, and this is going to give me a list of the different certifications that are out there. Currently under chemical technicians, it is showing approximately 8 certifications. Of those, some might be concrete laboratory testing technician, level 2 laboratory lubricating analyst, clinical chemistry technologist. And if I click on that, it's probably going to show me some additional information on who they are, what they do, the requirements associated with it, if I want to become one of these individuals, or the type of education that's required to go along with it, and that type of general information. If I want to find out more, that information is there. It also tells me whether or not if this certification is in demand, what's associated with it, if there's any accreditation, so just general information. So this is a good one-stop shop for finding out more about career fields that you might have a level of interest in to find out more about. And again, you can always save this information in your add to favorites / or add to notes to be able to save the general information associated with it. So one more area that we can explore under chemical technicians, for example, under the how to get there. Obviously, we have the education, we have the credentials, and then we can also look at the military services offering this occupation. So these are the branches that offer it. We can click on this link and it'll take us to some of those career specialties. It'll break it down even further by related career fields. Again, this particular career field within the United States military is called Fuel Supply Specialist, predominantly offered to enlisted individuals. It does have active duty and it does have reserve forces, MOS is associated with it. And then these are the branches of service that actually offer that particular career skill. So that's for fuel supply specialist. We can look at life scientists, environmental health and safety specialist. This one is opened by all the branches to include the Coast Guard as well. And so this is just a way of finding out more about career fields that are out there and the different branches of the military that can provide this level of information on it.
Now we're back here at the My ASVAB-CEP main page. We're going to click on Resources, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and watch the final video completing my portfolio.
The ASVAB Career Exploration Program offers an output of a participant's career exploration called My Portfolio. This tool allows students to compile their achievements and articulate action steps toward their identified goals, then share this record with counselors and parents to facilitate meaningful discussions about post-secondary planning. The following explains each section of My Portfolio and its application. To access My Portfolio, users must log in at ASVABprogram.com. My Portfolio is available under Step 3. It is intended for use during career exploration. participants should have completed Step 1 and be engaged in Step 2 before beginning the activities in Step 3. Students can identify which path they're most strongly considering in their first year after graduating high school so they can begin to set realistic goals. Young people should document work experiences along the way. It gets harder to remember what likes, dislikes, and responsibilities held at each position as time goes by, so compiling it will help them in developing their first resume. The education section gives students a place to list needed coursework relevant to career choice or notable courses already completed. ASVAB, ACT, and SAT scores are all important to consider when making post-secondary plans. Documenting the last test score of record will help students track their scores and be mindful of the scores they need to achieve for acceptance or entry into their chosen post-secondary path. Achievements such as awards, publications, clubs, and other extracurricular activities provide students with opportunities to set themselves apart from their peers. Skills are things students do well. Classes in which they get particularly good grades, for example. Similar to achievements, volunteer activities give students a chance to explore their passions, understand the importance of helping others, and give back to their communities. These experiences also provide valuable insight when making post-secondary plans. Along with skills, interests are another critical component for young people to consider when identifying potentially satisfying careers. Interests are identified when participants complete the FYI and pre-populate it here. Students can also add additional interests. Job satisfaction comes from having a job that meets your needs. Work values are your beliefs about what is important to you. Students can use this area to list the work values most important to them. As students navigate the OccuFind and discover careers and institutions they are interested in, they can use the heart icon to mark favorites. The occupation or institution is then automatically added to My Portfolio. Adding favorite occupations helps guide planning conversations. Adding favorite colleges helps students keep key dates and financial planning top of mind. Adding favorite career clusters is helpful for coursework planning. Students can also add military careers to their favorites list in the same way while exploring careersinthemilitary.com. Adding favorite military careers helps students identify physical fitness and qualifying scores. Students are encouraged to share their portfolio with counselors, teachers, and parents. This serves as a valuable tool to guide discussions related to student plans for after high school. Students can download a PDF of My Portfolio and email it to their mentor to use as a baseline for meaningful conversation about their post-secondary plan.
So now let's return to the main page, my ASVAB-CEP. So I can always click on this link up here, and it's going to take me back to the main page. I'm going to look at the third phase for the ASVAB Career Exploration Program, which is the planning phase, and more specifically the My Portfolio and what My Portfolio does. So I'm going to click on that, and that's going to allow me to collect and maintain information about some of the things that I have explored today. So this section will allow you to collect information important to you. It will allow you to create a resume of sorts, like document, something that you can use for school assignments, job applications, or other various endeavors. The various tabs will allow you to collect information that you've looked at today as well as saved. So information on future plan, if you've clicked any of these things that you want to explore further, if you want to save comments associated with that, if you want to put in any kind of work experience where you've been at, any part-time jobs that you may have had, you can collect that information there. Any education, maybe you've got some early dual credit classes or some college classes that you've taken, or maybe you've actually been certified in some way, shape, or form. You can collect that information there. Your test scores will populate from the ASVAB program, which can easily be one thing you might want to add on a resume to show your level of skill. Any achievements, awards, things like that you want to list and save for future information. Skills. Maybe you have a specific a set of skills that you want to capture and reflect. carpentry, electrician, all that other kind of good stuff. Volunteer activities, it's always one good thing for a young person to have on their resume, or any type of volunteering activities that you've done. Your interest codes to capture what it is that is important to you, any work values that you want to add to it, and then additional information that you can collect and save in some way, shape, or form. And then all that will save and populate under the My Portfolio tab. And this is something that you can always come back to and look at in greater detail. Another area that's important to explore under the My ASVAB-CEP program under Plan is My Educational and Career Plans. In this area, outlined here, My Education and Career Plans allows you to save information, not just on yourself, but some other things that you might be interested in. So here you'd save just general information about who you are, summary of information, or what you might be planning on doing. These are more about me questions if you want to save any specific comments, occupations that you're considering. This allows you to save notes and organizes them for you. After you click the save, then it'll populate that information. You can put more about me information. It'll ask general questions about who you are, what you're interested in, occupations that you are considering, your plans after high school, and then getting there from here. And so this is just general information that you can capture and save on yourself. And then whenever you actually look at the portfolio, all that information will populate in a very nicely arrayed document that you can use for other things like classroom assignments, developing a resume, or just general information that you may want to save on yourself. A couple of additional areas we want you to be familiar with under Plan is the My Coursework Planner, which just allows you to outline some information about the planner, what its intent is, how you should use it, as well as the ability to capture some of that information on things that might be important to you, of what it is that you're looking at. Outside of that, second area is classroom activities, and this is more for possibly student-teacher organizers and things that you're looking at doing in the classroom that are not just ASVAB specific, but definitely take some of that ASVAB information and allow students to look at specific things like possibly family career tree, if you want to follow down the pathway that maybe your father or your mother had chosen as a career field. STEM field, for which STEM field is for me, allows students to explore different STEM career fields that are out there. How to create a LinkedIn profile, which is very important in today's networking environment. Additional information like how to give back, programs and projects that you can do, the cost of a career if you want to pursue a specific career pathway. Let's look at one thing for the create a LinkedIn profile. So this provides the details. This lays out exactly what the description looks like, what the event entails, and then there's a teacher's guide that a teacher can download, and then the student activity guide that allows them to explore what it's like to create a LinkedIn profile and the purposes associated with it. And then these are the standards that are associated with it. So this is just one more thing that schools and students can use to get the most out of the ASVAB Career Exploration Program. So let's jump over from the ASVAB program into the Careers in the Military page, just so that we can discuss what the capabilities of the overall program is about. So for this particular career field we're looking at is computer programmers. I'm going to pan that down all the way down to the bottom. Past education, where we're going to find out military services offering this occupation. Click on military info, and this will take us to career fields that are out there associated with computer programmers. And so let's look at network and database administrators. And now we're leaving officially the ASVAB program, and we're in the Careers in the Military page. And this allows us to take that same ASVAB career information, population of information based upon our aptitudes and skills and things like that, and transitions it over to the Careers in the Military website that allows us to do the same type of exploring, but with potential career paths associated with military service. So let's discuss all the areas associated with that. Again, we have the job description page, other career titles that we might find under this, the career clusters that network and database administrators fall under, which is usually IT, information technology, the interest codes that are normally associated with this career field, the levels of skill and importance, obviously science and technical being among the most high, the attributes that are associated with it, what they do, training provided, the required training to be able to be a IT person, the working environment, network and database administrators in military, work in offices or computer sites in military bases, or even aboard ships, depending upon a specific area. And then find this job. Here's the different branches. Here are the different branches that offer these specific career fields. The Army has the IT specialist. Marine Corps has a cyber network systems chief, applications designer, data systems chief, aviation data analyst, and many others. The Coast Guard has an information systems technician and many other areas to explore. The Air Force has cyber systems operations, cyber transport systems, computer. Let's click on view all just so that we can see everything that they have there to offer. So again, for the careers in the military, this is just one more way to explore potential career fields that you might be interested in based upon your aptitudes and how well you scored on the ASVAB-CEP. So while we're here in the careers of the military page, we talked a little bit about what the specific information is, but some of the other things that we should explore as well. Let's just look at options. So options is going to provide the different options that are out there for you. So an overview of just general information that's out there for individuals interested in military careers, specific comments about the military. So if I want to find out more about the Army, Marine Corps, or the Coast Guard, Space Force even, Air Force, I can click on those and it's going to expand that informational link and tell me more information about it. What it's like to be an enlisted versus an officer. So it's going to provide information, a level of detail that talks about the different ranks and the careers that are associated with it. If I wanted to go through, learn more about the enlistment process, short video that talks about options associated with military service, as well as the steps. Step one is normally, if you're thinking about joining the U.S. military, one of the things a recruiter is going to ask you is, have you taken the ASVAB? What the physical requirements are for it. Having to take an oath, deciding when to go, all those things kind of come into consideration. What's the pay? So finding out more about what the military actually pays. So you can click on this and this will take you to a military pay cycle and you can find out more information about the different branches of service and exactly what the pay scales are associated with individuals who have joined. So brand new private who has just joined the Army, this is the general information associated with their pay. You can explore more than just that, but this provides some of that information. Maybe some of the reasons why you should consider the military. So there's great information that's out there about people who have served, the different branches, and everything out there associated with them. And obviously, in the end, if you are thinking about military service, you should probably reach out and connect with a recruiter to ask those important questions. So as we explore the careers in the military page, one of the things we need to remember is that many of the careers in the military you might find in the civilian world as well. They might have different names associated with them. For example, this military career is considered network and database administrators, probably a very common term in the civilian world as well. Some additional names might be for those individuals of a information technology specialist, information systems administrator, computer systems administrator, and so on. The information is there. It's just something for you to further explore, but just understand that there's a level of detail that's there that can take you through understanding more about military careers that might be out there for you. You can do guided exploration, or you can even do a even greater advanced search on some of those careers that might be out there that you might have some level of interest in. So if I was going to look at, for example, administrative support specialist, again, this is the general information associated with it, the title, the purposes of what they do, other career titles associated with it, their interest code, the type of individuals who tend to do well in here. Here's their interest code, what's important, be it math, verbal, or sciences, attributes associated with it, what they do, training provided, work environments. Administrative support specialists work in office settings both on land and aboard ships, and then obviously how to find this job, who has it, and what the titles are associated with it. It's not uncommon for you to see the very similar jobs in the various branches and have completely different names associated with them based upon the branch and what their mission requirements are. And then down here at the bottom, additional information associated with related careers in the military, some of the information that I've specifically viewed, additional career information associated with that, and I'll ultimately find a recruiter if I want to reach out and find out some more information on it. And if I want to jump back to the civilian world and look at civilian careers, here's some of the information that I might find of interest. So it's important to know what your options are, and the way that you do that is by exploring all the different capabilities that this website, the ASVAB Career Exploration Program, and the Careers in the Military website have to offer you. And just to recap some general information about the ASVAB-CEP program website, I click on my ASVAB-CEP, it takes me back to this general start page. Again, if I want to learn more about ASVAB, I can. If I want to learn more about career exploration, I can. And I can personalize this portfolio and all the information to me specifically. I can click on my portfolio, and that's going to take me back to that information that I was interested in collecting more upon myself. I can look at career educational plans. I can save that information and data on myself. I can look at a coursework planner and save information upon myself, areas that I'm interested in. And then classroom activities, again, I can tailor it to meet the needs of my students or meet the needs of my peers as we look at ways to explore career fields that are out there for us. So it's just one more way that you can save that information and utilize it to your advantage. Again, I can look at my favorites, and I can look at my notes. So I can look at my favorites and explore them further, capture information out of there. Favorites, what are the notes associated with that I put in here? I hadn't put anything in here before, so if I wanted to, I could click on that information and save it in there. So just some last minute stuff that you can do to be able to make this program do the most that it has for you. One of the last areas I want to discuss is the use of social media with the ASVAB-CEP program. Let's say, for example, I want to look at some of my favorites. So I'm going to click on my ASVAB-CEP, maybe my portfolio, drop down here to see some of my information for my favorites. So we'll go with aircrew members again. And if I wanted to, I could share that information either on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even by mail. So if I click on this, it's going to open up the access to mail programs that I currently have within my computer, and then it's going to allow me to add that information. If I wanted to do it on Facebook, I click on that, it would link into my specific Facebook account, and I could say, hey, here's some career fields that I'm looking at doing something more with, and a way for them to showcase or show off different career fields that an individual might be pursuing. So this is an opportunity for you to find like-minded students that might be on the same career path as you, or maybe even some adults maybe in your social media network that may be able to provide you some insight on some of the career paths that you're considering. So that's just one more thing that's out there that's available to you.
Upon completion of the post-test interpretation, you would close out any remarks, thank the students for participating in the ASVAB-CEP program, and then turn the process back over to the administrators for control of the class. We've now reached the final area associated with post-test interpretation training. As stated initially, proficiency is met when personnel receives a score of average or higher on all the required components and an average of 3 or higher on at least 3 complementary components. This will be shown that there is a total of 14 check marks required, purple areas, components, and 3 or more check marks for complementary, teal components. Upon completion of the evaluation, your overall performance will be evaluated. Your evaluator will determine your general presentation skills, if you provided clear instruction and demonstration to all students, if you properly paced instruction, allowing sufficient time for Q&A, if you answer students' questions correctly, clearly, and directly. And then at the end, the evaluator will sign this document, and this is what will be submitted to the ASVAB program manager for your PTI certification. You've reached the end of the mock post-test interpretation session. The purpose of this post-test interpretation was to provide an individual what a PTI might actually look like and how it's evaluated. If you have further questions on this, please reach out to your local post-test interpreter assigned to conducting evaluations for further clarification and guidance. Thank you for participating.